In the grand tapestry of the animal kingdom, few creatures command such a profound sense of history and presence as the Mastiff. This is a breed whose very form seems to echo through the corridors of time, a living monument to strength, loyalty, and an ancient, unspoken pact with humanity. When we look upon a Mastiff, we are not merely seeing a dog. We are witnessing the culmination of millennia of shared history. Their immense size and powerful build speak of a past filled with formidable duties, guarding ancient palaces, marching alongside armies into the fray of battle. Their story is not written in dusty books alone, but is etched into their very DNA, a lineage that stretches back to the dawn of civilization itself. Our journey begins not in the green fields of England, where the breed we know today was perfected, but in the heart of ancient empires. Carvings from Babylonian palaces, dating back over 4,000 years, depict colossal dogs with a striking resemblance to the modern Mastiff, engaged in the hunt of lions. These were not pets in the modern sense, but essential partners in survival and symbols of power. Their ancestors are thought to have originated in the mountainous regions of Tibet, formidable guardians of monasteries and nomadic herds. From these remote highlands, they traveled with merchants and conquerors, their genetic legacy spreading across the continents, a silent, powerful force that would shape the destiny of canine history for centuries to come. The name Mastiff itself is shrouded in the mists of linguistic history, a clue to its long and storied past. One theory suggests it derives from the Old French term mastin, meaning watchdog, which in turn is believed to come from the Latin word mansuetus, meaning tamed or domesticated. This linguistic evolution tells a story of its own, hinting at the gradual transformation of a fearsome beast of war into a loyal and disciplined guardian. It speaks to humanity's long effort to harness the wild power of this magnificent animal, to tame its primal instincts and channel them into service and companionship. This process of taming was not one of breaking its spirit, but of forging a bond built on mutual respect and shared purpose. As these ancient dogs made their way into Europe, carried on the trade routes of Phoenician sailors and the war galleys of expanding empires, their reputation preceded them. They were known as the Pugnaces Britanniae, the war dogs of Britain, a testament to the ferocity and courage observed by Roman invaders. These early accounts paint a picture of a creature both feared and revered, a formidable opponent on the battlefield and an unwavering protector of the hearth. It is here, on the British Isles, that the Mastiff's story would truly begin to crystallize, where dedicated breeding and a unique cultural role would refine this ancient bloodline into the noble dog we recognize today, setting the stage for a legacy unlike any other in the canine world. To understand the Mastiff's journey through history, one must first appreciate the physical and temperamental qualities that define this remarkable breed. The English Mastiff is, above all, a creature of immense scale and substance. It is a breed defined by its sheer mass, large square head, powerful muscular body, heavy solid bone structure. That combination gives it an unmistakable presence. An adult male can easily stand over 30 inches at the shoulder and weigh well over 200 pounds, making it one of the largest dog breeds in the world by mass. This colossal size is not for show. It is the physical manifestation of its historical purpose as a deterrent and a guardian, a living barricade whose appearance alone could ward off a threat. Beneath this imposing exterior, however, lies a temperament that often surprises. The Mastiff is famously known as a gentle giant. While their history is steeped in warfare and guarding, centuries of selective breeding shifted the breed. Calm, patient, profoundly gentle, they are known for their unwavering loyalty, deep affection for their families, often forming a quiet, watchful bond with children. This docility is the hallmark of the modern Mastiff. Breeders moved focus from ferocity to faithfulness, creating a dog that can be a formidable protector without being needlessly aggressive. By the time the first Roman legions set their sights on conquering Britain in 55 BC, the Mastiff-type dogs introduced centuries earlier had become an integral part of Celtic tribal life. They had evolved into a distinct and formidable breed, renowned for their immense power and ferocity in battle. These were the original war dogs of Britain. They were accompanied by their massive dogs, which they unleashed upon the disciplined Roman soldiers with devastating effect. The sight of these canine warriors charging into the fray and the sound of them would have been a terrifying experience for even the most battle-hardened legionary. Accounts sent back to Rome by commanders like Julius Caesar spoke of the incredible bravery and power of these canine adversaries. The Romans, ever practical and adept at recognizing a superior weapon, were deeply impressed by the British war dogs. They named them Pugnaces Britanniae. After establishing a foothold in Britain, they did not eradicate them. Instead, they sought to co-opt them. Roman officials were appointed to procure the best specimens and export them to Rome. Once in Rome, destined for a grim but celebrated purpose, they were displayed in grand amphitheaters, most notably the Colosseum. Their courage and strength were pitted against other formidable beasts: bears, bulls, and even gladiators. This systematic approach ensured powerful traits were propagated and enhanced, influencing countless large breeds across Europe for centuries to come. With the collapse of Roman rule, Britain plunged into a period of turmoil. As the feudal system became established, the Mastiff's place within it was clearly defined. The Mastiff, with its intimidating presence and unwavering loyalty, became the ultimate guardian of these medieval strongholds. They were often referred to as bandogs, kept bonded or chained during the day, usually near the main gate, their purpose to be a visible deterrent. At night, after the castle gates were locked and the drawbridge was raised, these dogs were released to act as a silent, deadly patrol. The importance of the Mastiff was so profound that it was regulated in the harsh forest laws of King Canute. The laws stipulated that any Mastiff kept within a royal forest had to be lawed, a procedure to maim the dog just enough to prevent it from hunting the king's deer, without rendering it useless as a guardian. The most famous and poignant story of a Mastiff in battle comes from the Battle of Agincourt, 1415. Sir Piers's leg of Lime Hall lay gravely wounded amidst chaos and carnage. His life was saved not by a soldier, but by his loyal female Mastiff. For hours the dog stood guard over her fallen master. She straddled his wounded body, fending off anyone who approached. She stayed until English forces secured the area and retrieved the wounded. Tragically, Sir Piers's wounds proved fatal. His Mastiff, herself wounded, was transported back to England and returned to Lime Hall in Cheshire. She arrived a celebrated hero. The Legge family of Lime Hall began a dedicated and systematic breeding program centered around the heroic Mastiff. This was the foundation of the legendary Lime Hall line. For the next 500 years, the Lime Hall kennels became the most important and purest source of Mastiff blood in England, if not the world. Owning a Mastiff from Lime Hall was the ultimate status symbol. King James I famously sent a gift of 2 prized Mastiffs from the line to King Philip III of Spain. The isolation and dedication of the Lime Hall program acted as a genetic fortress for the breed, creating a vital reservoir of pure Mastiff genetics. Nearly all modern Mastiffs can trace their ancestry back to the dogs of Lime Hall, and therefore, back to that one heroic female who stood guard over her master at Agincourt. Despite its noble history, the fortunes of the Mastiff began to wane dramatically by the 18th and early 19th centuries. The world was changing rapidly, and the traditional roles that the Mastiff had filled for centuries were becoming obsolete. A more significant blow came from social reform. For centuries, a darker side of the Mastiff's strength had been exploited in the brutal blood sports of bull baiting and bear baiting. In 1835, the British Parliament passed the Cruelty to Animals Act, which outlawed all forms of baiting. While a landmark victory for animal welfare, it had a devastating impact on the Mastiff breed. The demand for Mastiffs plummeted. By the mid-19th century, the English Mastiff was perilously close to extinction. The great dog of Britain was fading into a memory. It would take the passionate efforts of a few dedicated individuals to pull it back from the brink. The salvation of the English Mastiff can be credited to a small but determined group of Victorian gentlemen, historians and enthusiasts who felt a duty to preserve this piece of British heritage. They scoured the country for the few remaining purebred Mastiffs, often paying handsome sums for quality specimens, many of which still held a connection to the old Lime Hall line. One of the most influential dogs of this era was a Mastiff named Lion. He embodied the ideal combination of size, type, and temperament that the revivalists were striving for. Their goal was not to breed a fighter, but to restore the Mastiff as a noble companion, emphasizing temperament and breeding out the aggression prized in the fighting pit. This new dog fancy movement would prove to be the Mastiff's salvation, creating a new purpose for purebred dogs in competitive exhibition. Thanks to these breeders, the Mastiff was pulled back from extinction and successfully rebranded for the modern age, transforming it from a forgotten warrior into a celebrated symbol of gentle strength. Just as the Mastiff had been revived, the 20th century brought a new threat: global conflict. The outbreak of the First World War had a severe impact on dog breeding. Food was strictly rationed, and feeding a giant breed like the Mastiff became almost impossible. Many kennels were forced to close. The outbreak of the Second World War was even more catastrophic. The British government encouraged people to euthanize non-essential pets to conserve food. The population in Britain plummeted. By 1945, only a handful, perhaps 7 or 8, adult Mastiffs remained in Great Britain. The breed was again on the brink of extinction in its native land. Fortunately, the story had started a new chapter in North America. The first Mastiffs were imported in the late 19th century, brought over by wealthy industrialists. American and Canadian breeders took up the mantle with enthusiasm. Because North America was spared the direct devastation of the wars, these breeding programs were able to continue. Survival depended entirely on a lifeline from across the Atlantic. The quintessentially English breed now had to be saved by its descendants in the New World. British breeders began the painstaking process of re-importing Mastiffs back into England to rebuild the breed in its homeland. This transatlantic cooperation saved the English Mastiff from certain extinction. In the 21st century, the English Mastiff has completed its long and dramatic transformation from a fearsome warrior to a beloved family companion. They are cherished for their patient and tolerant nature, especially with children, over whom they often assume a quiet, watchful guardianship. It is a dog that understands its own strength, and therefore feels no need to prove it through aggression. Despite their colossal size, the exercise needs of a Mastiff are surprisingly moderate. They thrive on daily walks and opportunities to stretch their legs. They are often described by their owners as 40% dog, 60% throw rug, a nod to their love of a good long nap. Owning a Mastiff today is a significant commitment. The sheer scale of the breed brings with it a unique set of responsibilities, particularly concerning their health. Their care is a significant undertaking. The financial cost of feeding and veterinary care is substantial. Everything about them is bigger. Proper training and socialization are not optional. They are absolutely essential. A well-behaved Mastiff is a majestic ambassador for the breed. The survival and continued health of the Mastiff today owe a great deal to the organized efforts of dedicated breed clubs around the world. These clubs are also instrumental in rescue efforts, providing a crucial safety net and a second chance for dogs that, through no fault of their own, find themselves in need. The story of the Mastiff is more than just the history of a dog. It is a reflection of our own human journey. It has stood alongside us through the rise and fall of empires, on the front lines of our wars, and in the quiet sanctuary of our homes. The legacy of the Mastiff is one of profound devotion. This is the thread that connects every chapter of its long history. Ultimately, the Mastiff stands as a living monument to strength in its truest form. It teaches us that true strength is not about aggression, but about quiet confidence and gentle patience. The Mastiff is more than just a dog, it is a living legacy, a gentle giant who has walked with us through history and who, if we continue to honor and protect it, will continue to walk beside us for generations to come.